So I tried to register an account with Amazon today to review Simon Hawke's Friday the 13th Part 2 novel, but I failed to meet the criteria and was denied for some reason, so I will just broadcast it right here. Simon Hawke's Friday the 13th 2 is level pegging with the worst book written in history. Tell me, Mr. Hawke, where was your proofreader? He called Alice alive in the original and even spelt Mrs. Voorhees with one O, and then he ruined my favourite sequel, Part 6, with 3 or 4 errors, but Part 2 is rife with fundamental errors, which leaves you wondering if he turned in the first draft as the final product. Friday the 13th 2 is a much sought after novel, with over 170 people waiting in reserve for its availability, and the current asking price is well over $800. There is one book available right now. They knocked 25% off it, but it's not worth that asking price. I printed my copy out at the library for $13, believe it or not. What a coincidence. And that was a waste of money in itself. Don't feel that you're being left out by not purchasing this novel. There are many websites online where you can obtain this novel and read for yourself. I may get a link and put it down there. My warning to any Friday the 13th fans out there: avoid this book at all costs. Wrong way, turn around, go back. The atrocities start on page 2. You don't have to go far. He forgot to hyphenate blood-soaked sheets, and it gets worse because at the tail end, in the epilogue, he spelled the word epilogue wrong. He spelled it Epilouge. What is that, French? I mean, in America you spell it Epilog. In the British pronunciation, what's the equation? It's Epilouge, but Epilouge. What is that, French? It sounds like Laurel and Hardy going down one of them slalom rides or something. Don't say that I didn't warn you about this novel. And I must point out that the L button on his typewriter, it misses a beat on a few occasions and kind of reads like Paul Simon's song, Don't Call Me Al. If you've read the book, then you'll know what I'm referring to. And yes, he used a typewriter to write this novel. This is serious. Do not buy that book. It's the equivalent of a year 10 student handing in a term paper that's a first draft. It's abysmal, to say the least. And anybody who pays over $500 for that novel is a fool. The book's not even worth $13, Cindy. At least there were no errors in Halloween or Halloween 3. As for Part 2, he spelled Laurie Lawney. Don't anybody even think about borrowing my original Friday the 13th book, because I already shipped it overseas to a friend. Here is a coded message to 6516. It's on its way. Oh, and don't worry, Mr. Hawke. Even errors happen to the best of them. Stephen King's It has 3 or 4 typos here and there. Mad props to Stephen King releasing the Langoliers as a sole entity. 4 past midnight, it was like holding a brick. You'd be there like, not to mention reading it, it's like, would you care for a few examples of Friday the 13th 2's inadequacies? Get a gander of this. She fell asleep from sheer exhausting. You mean exhaustion? Would you care? There's another doozy here. She could hear only the sound. She could hear only the sound. Now, what the hell does that mean? And the errors only keep coming thicker and faster the more you delve into Simon Hawke's Friday the 13th 2 novelization. I mean, could somebody tell me, explain to me what a chili chook-off is? Please, is that some reference to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 at the beginning where the old man, the cook, is in a chili cooking contest? What in heaven's name is a chili chook-off? Somebody. Look at this distinguished gentleman. On many occasions, Simon Hawke forgets to use quotation marks at the end of his speeches, and in one paragraph he writes, "Our friends in the forest," with a capitalized F and 2 R's, and on another occasion he writes in capitals, "trespassing," with 2 S's, all in capitals. Oh man, this is getting tired. There is another major blunder when he writes, "It hadn't been such a big dead with the cop." A big deal, you mean? A big dead? What is that? The whole novel is ruined as you anticipate the next error, which is a distraction from the storyline. And the errors do keep coming. I am omitting about 80% of them. They're here and there. Trust me. And Jesus Christ, does he use the word she too much? Here is a thesaurus, Mr. Simon Hawke. Look up an alternative. Then she, for Christ's sake. It's not Jason Voorhees who is scary in this novel. No, it's Simon Hawke's atrocious writing, which is the real horror story. Don't forget to wipe your ass, flush that toilet, and wash your hands, and you will be notified whenever I make new bog content.